Chapter 1616, Request to Feng Clan. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios Sovereign Immortal Aperture, Mini Southern Border. Rumble. The ground shook violently for a moment, before the dense radiance of an Earth Path killer move covered the surrounding 100 li like a large, formless hand molding soft mud. The surrounding terrain began to sink in while the land in the periphery began to protrude out, forming a circular valley. This sunken land was surrounded by mountains, forming an environment that was isolated from the outside. There was no vegetation in this sunken land. Soil was also scarce. It was instead covered by a large amount of steel. This was White Steel Bowl Valley. Fang Yuan extorted the production method of the white steel extract resource point, as well as corresponding construction materials from Shang Clan. White Steel Bowl Valley was a medium-sized resource point. After its construction, it would coagulate rank 7 immortal material white steel extract at the center of the valley. With this immortal material, Fang Yuan could feed rank 7 edge goo by himself. Previously, when he had plundered Tai Chu Zhong's immortal aperture, he did not find resources to feed edge goo, but after soul-searching him, Fang Yuan realized he had intended to construct this resource point and had already discussed the price with Shang Huzhong. Fang Yuan directly extorted Shang Clan, constructing White Steel Bowl Valley without paying any price. After this task was done, Fang Yuan's time path clone immediately moved towards Dang Hun Mountain. That a lofty and large crystal mountain, pink throughout, was emitting illusory radiance. Fang Yuan threw soul cores into Dang Hun Mountain. Not long later, a large amount of guts goo was produced on the surface of the mountain. Dang Hun Mountain had finally recovered, looking close to its complete state. 99% restoration was already enough. Fang Yuan could not restore it completely, as Heavenly Court already knew Dang Hun Mountain's appearance in its complete state. Although fixed immortal travel was in Fang Yuan's hand, who could say Heavenly Court did not have an immortal killer move that could produce the effect of fixed immortal travel? From now on, I can produce a large amount of guts goo and restart my guts goo business once again. Fang Yuan let out a breath of AI.It had not been easy to reach this state. Fang Yuan had expended a massive amount of immortal essence. Dang Hun Mountain had been destroyed before as well, but it had been destroyed by Gruel Mud Immortal Goo. It had turned into mud, but still retained Soul Path Dao marks. And this time, Fang Yuan only had a small piece of Dang Hun Mountain. Most of the Soul Path Dao marks had been destroyed with the destruction of Dang Hun Mountain. Through this process of restoring Dang Hun Mountain, Fang Yuan deeply experienced the power of the killer move Orderly Well. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had used this rank 9 immortal killer move himself. Its effect was magical and peerless. Fang Yuan could not have restored Dang Hun Mountain without its help. With my guts goo business, Heavenly Court is unable to limit my income any further. But with so many resource points taken from the southern border immortals, I can continue to cultivate without relying on guts goo business. It is better to use these guts goo for my own soul path cultivation. Fang Yuan's soul foundation had previously broken into 100 million man soul level, but had greatly fallen now. Cultivating and raising his soul foundation once again meant Fang Yuan could enslave even more immemorial year beasts. Such a pity that my development plan for Green Ghost Desert did not succeed. Qing Chou has escaped. Swan Bujin's identity was also exposed. I can no longer continue the plan of hunting soul beasts. However, I might be able to borrow Fang Clan's help. Fang Yuan considered it. He wanted to cultivate his soul, so he naturally needed more guts goo, which also meant expending a lot of souls. The souls of the southern border goo immortals could not be used here. It would be a waste of their value. Soul cores were most suitable. Where could he get a large amount of soul cores? The price of soul cores had already gone up in Treasure Yellow Heaven. It was especially high during this recent time. Fang Yuan knew this was Heavenly Court's doing. Fang Clan. Discussion Hall. All the Supreme Elders had gathered. Everyone, have a look at this letter. At the main seat was an old man. He was tall and sturdy, with long white hair spreading around his head like a lion's mane. He was Fang Clan's first Supreme Elder, Fang Gong. Fang Clan's second Supreme Elder, Wisdom Path Great Grandmaster Fang Di Chong. Third Supreme Elder Fang Hua Sheng, as well as Fang Ji, Fang Chun, Fang Long, and Fang Yun were all present. Everyone glanced through the letter and had different expressions. Fang Chun gritted his teeth. I had already sensed that Xuanbu was not a good person, but had not expected him to be Fang Yuan in disguise. Heavenly Court has exposed his identity, and is even blaming us Fang clan for colluding with a demonic person. Right now, our clan is being ostracized by other righteous path forces. It is all because of this demon Fang Yuan. And he wants us to supply him with soul cores? He is truly dreaming. Fang Chun had married into Fang clan. He once had a verbal dispute with Fang Yuan. He immediately showed his stance right now, not willing to associate with the demon Fang Yuan. Rank 7 Poison Path, Gu Immortal Fang Ji glanced at Fang Chun, saying coldly, "So Fang Chun, you want to reject Fang Yuan's request?" Fang Chun was stunned. Is our Fang clan afraid of Fang Yuan? Right now, every large righteous path force is pressuring our Fang clan. Their reason being that we colluded with a demonic path member. If we now make a deal with Fang Yuan, they will have an even bigger excuse to isolate us. Fang Ji was silent, in the trip to Green Ghost Desert. Fang clan had beaten back Heavenly Court's rank 8 Gu Immortal Chen Yi, succeeded in capturing Divine Being Palace, and also forcibly subdued 2 rank 7 lone immortals, Old Ghost by June and Eagle Concubine, to be Fang clan's slaves. Their harvests were huge, but while they had made gains, Fang clan had also paid a considerable price. Their 3 immortal Gu houses had suffered serious damage, and they still had no ways to refine Divine Being Palace. Fang clan's strength had thus fallen greatly. Heavenly Court exposed this matter, causing Fang clan to be immediately met with difficulties from other Western Desert Righteous Path forces. But were they truly going to reject Fang Yuan? This question had already been lingering in the minds of Fang clan Gu immortals. Could Fang clan afford to reject him? Fang clan was being troubled by every clan. They were in a precarious situation from the enormous pressure, and they were going to offend Fang Yuan at such a crucial time. At present, who in the world did not know how vicious and crafty Fang Yuan was? He also had powerful battle strength to boot. Even Heavenly Court was without options against him. And such a person happened to be all alone in the world with no fetters of relatives and loved ones, no territories or organization. Fang clan simply had no way to bargain against him. Fang clan's Gu immortals started recalling past information, how Fang Yuan had used fixed immortal travel to move around and continuously wreck the resource points of southern borders Qi clan, that if Fang clan truly refused Fang Yuan, and Fang Yuan troubled them like he dealt with Qi clan, what should they do? Qi clan was a righteous path force of southern border. When they had been attacked by Fang Yuan, they did not receive support from any other clan. Fang clan's situation would be much worse than Qi clan's. Not only would Fang clan fail to receive reinforcements, they might even be pincer attacked by other righteous path forces. If they were not careful, Fang clan would become the next He tribe from northern plains, their headquarters captured and their clan exterminated. Fang Long, Fang Yun, what are your opinions? Fang Dichong suddenly broke the silence. Fang Yun was stunned. They were only rank 6. They normally could only listen from the side and had no qualifications to speak on this kind of occasion. Now, he was suddenly being asked and was caught off guard. I also don't know what we should do. After all, Fang Yuan saved my life. He is my benefactor. Moreover, haven't we made an agreement with him? It should be all right to give him soul cores as the compensation. Of course. I will listen to Lord Father. You can just deduce it. Fang Dichang's expression was slightly dark. He took a glance at his adopted son before looking towards Fang Lung. Compared to the flippant Fang Yun, Fang Lung had a steady nature and was well thought of by many Gu immortals of Fang clan, believing him to be the future hope of Fang clan. Fang Lung thought deeply before speaking. I wonder if everyone has noticed that Fang Yuan did not use the name of Xuanbu Jin in this letter, but directly used his own name? Fang Chun snorted. It is because Heavenly Court already exposed it. It is useless for Fang Yuan to use Xuanbu Jin's identity. He might also be thinking of threatening our clan. By using his name, he is trying to say, I am Fang Yuan. If your Fang clan does not follow my request, you shall face my, Fang Yuan's, anger and vengeance. Fang Lung smiled. There is indeed this meaning. Fang Yuan is confident he can create trouble for our Fang clan. I also believe he can do this, so I think we should agree to Fang Yuan's request. What? Fang Qin's voice rose. His eyes widened as he tried to rebuke, but Fang Dichong waved his hand. Let him continue. Fang Chun did not dare to speak anymore. Fang Lung took a deep breath before continuing. Everyone, our clan has landed in a precarious situation and is being troubled from all around. Is it truly because we collaborated with the demon Fang Yuan? That is not the case. The true reason is that our clan obtained Divine Being Palace. Once we absorb our gains properly, the top spot among Western Desert's righteous path forces will probably belong to our Fang clan. Strength represents power and authority, and even more importantly, benefits. Our clan's rise will naturally be through stepping on other clans. This is why the other great clans are not tolerating us and are jointly pressuring us. If our clan does not satisfy Fang Yuan's request and makes a clean break with him, will the other righteous path forces let us go? That is impossible. On the contrary, we will have made enemies with Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan has rank 8 battle strength. If such a demonic overlord takes revenge, it will probably cause endless headache to any super force. And by satisfying Fang Yuan's request, not only can we fulfill the previously set agreement, we can also improve our relationship and even might be able to use his strength to deal with other super forces. Of course, we will send the soul cores secretly to him, and after discussing with him, we can act like we have completely broken off our relationship with him. What does it matter if we lose those rank 6 and rank 7 soul cores? They are only immortal materials. As long as our Fang clan can get past this difficulty, what immortal material would we lack in the future? The immortals fell into silence. Fang Dichong chuckled. Fang Gong laughed heartily. Good. We will do it like this then. Fang Yun, you get in touch with Fang Yuan. What? Huh? Fang Yun was dazed. It was clearly Fang Lung who had analyzed and made the proposal. Why was he the one to execute it? But first Supreme Elder's command had to be obeyed. Fang Yun could only accept it. This Fang Lung has sound judgment. He sees the overall situation clearly. First and Second Elder are painstakingly nurturing him into the future successor of Fang clan. How could such a person have a stain of colluding with a demon? So Fang Yun was ordered to take the task. Fang Qin glanced at the ignorant Fang Yun with a pitying look. This pity also had sympathy. Why was Fang Yun made to do this task? That was because Fang Yun was Fang Dichang's adopted son. The two biggest factions in Fang clan belonged to First Supreme Elder Fang Gong and Second Supreme Elder Fang Dichong. As for Fang Qin himself, he was extremely aware of the situation. Unfortunately, he was an outsider married into Fang clan. His talents were useless because of his status. He could only be a superficial stepping stone for Fang Lung. Chapter 16-17, Crucial Tribulation. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios soul cores with the size of a chicken egg, dark blue to the point of being black, rained down on Dang Hun Mountain. The soul core contained all of the essence of a soul beast. After the soul beast died, its corpse would turn into smoke and scatter, leaving behind only its soul core. Soul cores condensed a large amount of soul path down marks. They were a top-tier goo material. Soul cores could be found in all sizes. An ordinary soul beast's soul core was the size of a rice grain and would only be the size of a chicken egg when they reached rank 6. Those of rank 7 were slightly larger, while a rank 8 immemorial soul beast soul core was as large as a horse carriage. After a round of discussion, Fang clan finally agreed to Fang Yuan's request, secretly sending him a large amount of soul cores. These soul cores were almost all rank 6 goo level, with few being rank 7 soul cores. And as for rank 8 soul core, there was not even one. Fang Yuan had 2 rank 8 soul cores, but he was storing them, not wanting to use them for producing guts goo on Dang Hun Mountain. Rank 8 immortal materials were normally used to refine rank 8 immortal goo, or to construct a large formation. Using them for producing guts goo would be somewhat of a waste of their value. The radiance of Dang Hun Mountain shook as the soul cores scattered into powder, sprinkling their essence into Dang Hun Mountain. Within moments, guts goo started condensing with rapid speed. Fang Yuan nodded inwardly at this scene. My soul path cultivation can get back on track again and progress swiftly. Soul path foundation was extremely important to Fang Yuan. Enslaving immemorial year beasts required it. Moreover, the deeper the soul foundation, the more immemorial year beast Fang Yuan could enslave. Emperor Yama expended Soul Foundation. Whenever a wisdom path Gu Immortal made deductions about Fang Yuan, Emperor Yama would activate to conceal Fang Yuan while expending a portion of Fang Yuan's Soul Foundation. Burning Soul Bursting Luck also depended on Soul Foundation. There was also Lead Soul into Dream. Fang Yuan had already studied this killer move completely. It had a chance of failure. But if Fang Yuan's Soul Foundation was higher than the target, the killer move's success rate would be much higher. Fang Yuan had directly used his name in the letter, abandoning Swan Bujin's name. Fang Clan's response was not beyond his expectations. A super force. A lone force like Fang Yuan could not seize their territories. At most he could steal some resources. But other super forces were different. They could forcibly occupy territories and seize entire resource points by sending in their manpower. The greatest threat to Fang Clan were the other righteous path forces that were glaring at it covetously. Moreover, Western Desert is somewhat special. Western Desert Gu Immortals compromise a little more easily than those of the other 4 regions. This was not because Western Desert Gu Immortals were soft. It was because of the environment. Different from other regions, Western Desert was filled with boundless deserts and oases. If an oasis was destroyed in a battle between Gu masters, they would have no foundation for survival and could easily perish together. On the other hand, different oases produced different resources. Gu masters would need each other's help to make up for what they lack in their cultivation. So Gu masters often formed caravans and moved a long distance, which was usually quite dangerous and exhausting. Thus, there were many collaborative relationships between Gu masters as well as different forces. So, since long ago, Western Desert's Gu masters were molded to compromise and make concessions for the survival of both sides. Any Gu immortal had cultivated step by step from Gu master stage. This habit had sunk deep into their bones and was already a part of the nature of Western Desert Gu immortals. In his first life, Fang Yuan had roamed around Western Desert for some time and was well aware of the nature of Western Desert's people. Had Fang Yuan captured Western Desert Gu immortals, the Western Desert Righteous Path forces would have compromised quicker than Southern Border. Their attitude would also be more realistic and proper. Had Fang Yuan captured Northern Plains Gu immortals, it would be a different situation. Northern Plains Gu immortals were often valiant and unafraid of death. They might even think it was a disgrace for them to be saved. Fang Yuan would suffer a headache with those captives. In the following days, Fang Yuan resumed his soul path cultivation while continuing to extort Southern Border's Righteous Path forces and soul-searching the captives. Fang Yuan's soul search target was Xia Cha. Although it was rather difficult to search her soul, he was not without any progress. Fang Yuan's immortal aperture's time was very fast. Under continuous effort over time, he had made many gains. Soon, Xia Cha's immortal killer moves were plundered by Fang Yuan. Xia Cha was worthy of being Xia Clan's first supreme elder. She had developed 2 sets of killer moves involving spring, summer, autumn, and winter. These 4 immortal Gu. Each set had 4 moves. The first set of killer moves was mainly used for battle: spring scissors, summer fan, autumn perception, and winter coat. Among them, Fang Yuan had already seen spring scissors and summer fan. These 2 killer moves were extremely ferocious, fully displaying rank 8 might. Autumn perception was an investigative killer move which greatly made up for Fang Yuan's shortcoming in the investigative aspect. Winter coat was a defensive killer move with extraordinary effect. The second set of killer moves was used for managing the immortal aperture: spring plowing, summer hoeing, autumn harvest, and winter storage. Every move was ingenious and profound. The more terrifying part was when these 4 moves were used in unison. Their might would be amplified and have extraordinary effect in managing the immortal aperture. Besides these, there were of course other moves as well, used for healing, movement, or evasive maneuvers. They were all exquisite, but could not compare to these 2 sets of killer moves. In fact, conceptualizing immortal killer moves was a difficult process. There was a high requirement for the ability and talents of Gu immortals. Central Continent's vicious Lightning Fiend spent a few years in close cultivation before he was able to deduce the killer move Lightning Deity. And this was when he had Blood Deity's immortal Gu recipe as reference. Under a normal situation, without any help of wisdom path methods, A Gu immortal would on average need 5 to 6 years of time to deduce and conceptualize a killer move. Choosing suitable Gu worms out of myriads of Gu worms was not easy. There were even countless choices in combining Gu worms. Even if a killer move was conceptualized, it was useless if it did not have practical value, and also could not be used if the side effect was too severe. After completing a killer move, it still had to be tested and improved, which was even more difficult. Naturally, 5 to 6 years was not referring to a Gu immortal wholeheartedly concentrating on deducing the killer move without doing anything else. If the Gu immortal had reference materials like immortal Gu recipes or inheritances of predecessors, they could further shorten this time. But the time taken was normally measured in years. Fang Yuan seemed to be easily deducing and modifying killer moves. The main reason was the light of wisdom. After all, rank 9 wisdom Gu was nothing to scoff at. There was also another important reason. That was his deep attainment level in all kinds of paths. The immortal Gu and immortal killer moves obtained from Xia greatly supplemented Fang Yuan's strength in terms of time path. He could be said to have made huge progress, like the eruption of a volcano, but Fang Yuan was facing a rather awkward issue. Spring and summer are both rank 8 immortal Gu. They can only be activated with rank 8 immortal essence. I am only a rank 7 Gu immortal. I don't even have the qualifications to refine them without using other methods. So I still need to advance my cultivation to rank 8. Then, not only can I use spring and summer, there is also wisdom sword immortal Gu. Fang Yuan started deducing matters regarding his advancement to rank 8. Several days later, his deduction was finished. Putting aside heavenly tribulations and earthly calamities, rank 7 needed to pass through 3 grand tribulations to advance to rank 8. And these 3 grand tribulations would get increasingly powerful. Fang Yuan was currently very close to the 3rd and final grand tribulation. The threat of the grand tribulation was not high to him, even if heaven's will strengthened it to the greatest limits. Fang Yuan already held firm initiative with his exposing heavenly secret killer move. What Fang Yuan was worried about was not the grand tribulation, but a possible human calamity.To face the grand tribulation. He must place his immortal aperture and connect to the outside world to absorb heaven and earth Qi.At that time. Fang Yuan's location would be directly exposed to heaven's will, while also sharply increasing the difficulty in defending against others' deductions. Heavenly Court absolutely would not let go of this opportunity. They should already have some estimations of Fang Yuan's cultivation level if Fang Yuan underwent the tribulation in Southern Border. When Southern Border's Gu immortals learn of the information, they would rush to kill Fang Yuan even if the captives were with him, because if they got rid of Fang Yuan, they would have no more future trouble. And looking at the long term, the benefits they could gain would be even larger. Fang Yuan's dragonfish business was already obstructed by Heavenly Court, his income falling massively. This showed Spectral Soul was unable to hold on, and Heavenly Court was making a lot of progress in soul searching him. As time passed, Heavenly Court would gain more information, while Fang Yuan would be put into an increasingly passive situation as all kinds of methods and Spectral Soul's true inheritance continued to lower in value. At present, Heavenly Court is my main enemy. The crucial key in the fight against Heavenly Court is Fake Gu. If Heavenly Court completely restores Fake Gu, I will have no more chance at victory. If I can destroy it, I will be able to continue to fight with them. And the crucial key to destroying Fate Gu lies in Red Lotus true inheritance. Fang Yuan had already deduced that it was very likely for Red Lotus true inheritance to hold the method to destroy Fate Gu. And to inherit Red Lotus true inheritance, I will have to fight in the River of Time. Whether I can break through Heavenly Court's defense line will depend on this 3rd Grand Tribulation. If I can pass it, I will become rank 8, and will be able to use Spring, Summer, and Wisdom Sword Immortal Gu. My battle strength will soar rapidly. I will have a chance at the battle in the River of Time. If I can't pass it, it will be my death. Even if I survive by chance, the opportunity and timing will be lost. After I fall by one step, I will continue to fall behind continuously. Unless Heavenly Court makes a serious slip-up, they won't give me another chance to make a comeback. Fang Yuan's mind was cool as ice, well aware of his situation. The important thing now was to plan on how to pass the third grand tribulation and become a rank 8 in the following days. Besides cultivating his soul-searching Xia, and managing his immortal aperture, Fang Yuan focused on exploring dream realms, practicing the new immortal killer moves as well as modifying the old killer moves that it was necessary to modify the old killer moves, especially his soul path killer moves which needed to be greatly improved. Otherwise, if the soul path killer moves were countered or restrained by heavenly quartz goo immortals, Fang Yuan would be in an extremely passive situation. As for practicing new killer moves, Fang Yuan was mainly practicing Xiacha's methods. He was only rank 7 currently, but Autumn Goo and Winter Goo were also only rank 7. He could practice their corresponding immortal killer moves. Normally, there were two main difficulties in practicing killer moves. One was the high chance of getting injured. But Fang Yuan had the sovereign immortal body which had non-conflicting Dao marks, and also had man as before, so this was not difficult to overcome. Second was the expenditure of immortal essence. If immortal essence was expended quickly, immortal essence stones had to be refined into immortal essence. Fang Yuan was low on funds before, but he had a lot of businesses now, so he did not lack the capital. Chapter 16-18. Do you believe in fate? Sovereign immortal aperture, an illusory dream realm. Fang Yuan entered the dream realm. Under the setting sun, do you believe in fate? A human female immortal with skin as fair as snow, wearing a yellow robe, with arched eyebrows and a pair of beautiful eyes shrouded in mist, was looking sadly at the beautiful afterglow of the sun. Fang Yuan was a Rockman Gu immortal in this dream realm, but it was not under his control. The dream realm played by itself. The Rockman Gu immortal spoke in a low, muffled voice. I, 2G, cultivate rule path and naturally believe in fate. Fairy Ruali, ever since I saw you, I knew you were my fated partner. You are the person that I will pursue for love over my entire life. Fairy Ruali smiled slightly. Her brows, however, furrowed a little. She looked at the Rockman Gu immortal standing beside her. You are right. We are fated to be an immortal couple. Ah, wow, what? I. The Rockman Gu immortal was astonished before becoming exulted, as he shouted in disbelief. Fairy Ruali, have you accepted me? Fairy Ruali nodded her head gently. Oh heavens! Oh heavens! Ha! I am not dreaming, right? Oh my heavens! 2G waved around his arms towards the sky and shouted. I finally succeeded after failing over 3,000 times. Ha! Fairy Ruali, from today onwards, you are my wife. Yes, you are my husband. 2G's body trembled with excitement. The trembling was so intense that rock fragments began to fall from his body. Second scene. Ruali was gently lying in 2G's arms, soft like a white feather. She looked at the sky where the clouds were moving across quickly. Her eyes were clear as water. 2G's eyes, however, were dazed. He had not shifted his gaze at all from Ruali's face. He mumbled. It has already been 12 years, but I still feel like everything is a dream. Oh Ruali, my wife. I swear I will love you and protect you. If you have any wish, tell me. I will do everything to satisfy you. Is that so? Ruali asked softly. Of course. 2G replied without any hesitation. Ruali's face showed a rare look of hesitation. After a long while, she said with some difficulty, then kill someone for me. Kill who? Even if it is a rank 8 existence. Trust me, I will stake my life to kill them. 2G agreed readily and seriously. An infant who was just born. Ruali smiled, her smile containing bitterness. 2G was stunned. An infant? Ruali took a deep breath. Do you believe in fate? I cultivate rule path. I have to believe in the rules of this world. All things have their own ordained path of which is fate. 2G replied. Ruali continued. Then I will tell you. This baby will become a future Gu venerable, called Reckless Savage. And in the future, I will definitely die at his hands. What? 2G was shocked. Ruali, how many times have you checked this prophecy? Ruali gave a bitter smile. Only once is enough, but I checked it many times indeed. Every result was the same. Do you know why a wisdom path Gu Immortal's prophecy is so accurate? That is because fate is always fixed. I will die at Reckless Savage's hands. That is my fate. 2G's mouth became dry as waves surged and ebbed in his heart. But shortly, soaring killing intent suddenly surged out of his body as he stood up. Then I shall kill him. Although this is fate, I don't believe that I, the Grand 2G, a rank 8 Gu immortal, can't kill an infant. Fang Yuan's soul foundation continued to fall as the third scene started. 2G was heavily injured when he appeared in front of Fairy Ruali. His lips shook and his expression was ashamed as well as shocked. Fairy Ruali smiled. I know, you encountered your fated enemy on the way there, and he just happened to have made a breakthrough. 2G was surprised. You deduced it? Fairy Ruali nodded. The moment you got attacked, I deduced it. 2G was dazed. He hesitated for a moment, but still asked. Then, Ruali, since you already deduced it, why didn't you come to help me? If we, husband and wife, joined hands, we could have definitely killed that scumbag. Ruali shook her head. You still don't understand? This is fate's arrangement. If I didn't tell you my deductions, you would not have gone to kill that infant. If you didn't go to kill that infant, you would not have encountered your old enemy. Anyone who tries to change fate will be met with fate's punishment. Your injuries are the punishment now. If I had gone to help you, another obstruction would have appeared. 2G blinked his eyes several times before saying in joy. So it was like that. That's good. Your decision was correct. I won't let you get injured. I would rather be torn apart than see even a hair of yours get damaged. Ruali gave a bitter smile as she looked at 2G. You understand the power of fate now? You don't need to try anymore. Stay with me and quietly accompany me in my final moments. I believe I will be blessed with you by my side. No. 2G's body shook as he said resolutely. Absolutely not. I won't stand by and watch this happen. I won't let you die. I promise to love you and protect you with my life. But my death is fate's arrangement. Oh 2G, my husband, you said it yourself, that you believe in fate. Ruali said meaningfully. Then I will stop believing in it. At first, 2G struggled and hesitated, but when he finally said it, he could not restrain his roar. His anger soared to the skies. Fourth scene. 2G went to look for that infant once again, but an earthly calamity suddenly appeared. There was a landslide. Villagers ran everywhere. The infant also disappeared. 2G could only kill some mortals, but he ran into several righteous path immortals. After a huge battle, 2G killed a few of them, but he ended up becoming a major wanted criminal by the human Gu immortals. Fifth scene. Several years later, the tribulation was strange and of unsurpassed strength. 2G almost died undergoing the tribulation. When he was lying in the bed, unable to move, he heard that Ruali had finally deduced the specific location of that infant. I will go kill him. 2G struggled to stand up, but when he had just walked a few steps, he fell unconscious. When he woke up, he saw Fairy Ruali had lost lifespan. Her hair had turned completely white. He sobbed. It is all my fault. All my fault. Ruali, you went through such painstaking efforts and finally deduced it after several years of closed cultivation. If not for my inability. Fairy Ruali smiled warmly, consoling. No problem. I can deduce it again. Sixth scene. They encountered a beast tide. Seventh scene. Fairy Ruali's deduction failed, suffering backlash. Her youth was spent, and she became an old lady. She rested in 2G's embrace, smiling bitterly. Look at what I have become. I must look pathetic, right? 2G gently stroked her hair, his gaze still containing deep love. No matter what you look like, you will still be my beloved Fairy Ruali. This special dream realm continued. Fang Yuan could only observe from the start. Regardless of how 2G and Ruali chased, all their attempts were met with failure. One time, he captured the infant, but the baby escaped by some unexpected mishap. 3 times, he caught up to the infant, but whenever he tried to make the fatal attack, by some strange factors and coincidences, the baby was able to escape. That infant was gradually growing up, becoming a Gu immortal. The situation moved firmly along the path decided by fate. Finally, nearing the day of Fairy Ruali's death, that 2G became increasingly tense. He knew the most crucial time had arrived. He planned every day and cultivated bitterly, using anything that could increase his strength no matter what the risks were. On the contrary, Fairy Ruali had loosened up. She no longer deduced ceaselessly. She persuaded 2G not to risk his life. 2G did not listen. getting more anxious. Sometimes she would accompany 2G, lying in his arms, then look at him warmly for a long time as if she could not savor it enough. Finally, the 8th scene. The fatal attack was blocked by 2G with his body. He even counterattacked, forcing back that great enemy. 2G was on the verge of death. He fell in Fairy Ruali's arms, saying joyfully, We finally won against fate. Ruali, my wife. I did it. I really did it. Cough, cough, cough. He wanted to shout and cheer in joy, but he was too weak and coughed incessantly. He knew he was no doubt going to die and did not have much time. Using this final period of time, he grabbed Fairy Ruali's hand with difficulty, looking at her with incomparably deep love as he said in a solemn tone, After I die, you must continue to live on, live well. Clear crystal-like tears flowed down Fairy Ruali's eyes, sliding down her face. She tightly embraced 2G, whispering in his ear, Do you know? Although I cultivate wisdom path, I don't believe in fate. I had deduced fate's arrangement for me, but who would want to die? So I looked for you. Actually, our marriage was not even part of the arrangements of fate. I did not love you and only wanted to use you. 2G smiled, responding in an extremely faint voice. I knew that, but so what? I love you. I am happy and fully willing to be used by you. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to be used by you. I had once believed in fate, but I don't anymore. Look, you are still alive. Fate has already been changed. This is wonderful. 2G was no longer able to lift his heavy eyelids as they closed slowly. He no longer responded. Fairy Ruali wept loudly. She had never lost her composure like this before in her life. She repeatedly shook her head and sobbed. I did not used to believe in fate, but now I do. Her whole body started to let out a pure white light that slowly entered the Rockman Goo immortal 2G's body. 2G's aura gradually began to recover from its weak state, while Fairy Ruali's body became increasingly frail and illusory. The Rockman Goo immortal opened his eyes once again. When he saw what was happening, he shouted in shock and panic. No, stop. I don't want to be healed. You will die, you will die. Unfortunately, he did not have any strength left and was unable to stop it. Fairy Ruali's figure had already become illusory. She revealed a smile, saying with incomparable warmth and a trace of craftiness, You are aware of it. My killer move cannot be stopped once it is activated. I want to say one final thing to you, the thing you wanted to hear the most. You silly rock. I love you. Once she said that, Fairy Ruali faded like an illusion, vanishing from the world. No, no. 2G roared like an injured beast filled with anger and sorrow. He was powerlessness and in pain. Chapter 16:19. I do not believe. Gorgeous lights slowly dissipated from the stone room. Feng Huang took a deep breath, staring forward without blinking. With her sharp eyes flickering with light, a cocoon-like lump of light, the size of a millstone, was quietly floating in front of her. The final step. Feng Huang took another deep breath, suddenly pinching all her fingers. Her 10 fingers then opened like blossoming flowers, endless bright lights flickering from them, shining upon the whole stone room. Feng Huang's movement was so skilled, even refinement path grandmasters would show a solemn expression. Feng Huang was already a refinement path great grandmaster. It was not strange for her to have such exquisite Gu techniques. What Feng Huang was using was a dual metal and fire path refinement technique. She had found this method to be the most suitable for her. Boom! After a while, a loud sound erupted. The cocoon, however, did not explode and was instead rapidly shrinking. The pure white cocoon surface gradually turned into dark blue color, while the cocoon gradually turned firmer with some metallic luster. I finally succeeded after failing many times. Feng Huang's eyes flashed with joy. Her mind was calm the whole time. She was already starting to display the demeanor of a refinement path great expert. The rank 5 Gu worm was refined, but it still needed to be processed with proper technique. Feng Huang opened her mouth, carefully breathing out wisps of cold R.S. The cold air blew on it. The blue cocoon slightly trembled and let out a buzzing noise. Large amounts of hot air rose up from the cocoon, filling the whole stone room with hot fog. Using dual metal and fire path refinement techniques created such a residual effect. The temperature of the Gu worm would become too high, and if it was not cooled down in time, It might not die, but it would be severely injured and difficult to use. AGU refinement was an extremely deep and broad subject with countless techniques. Any GU refinement technique had its advantages and disadvantages. If an ice refinement method was used to refine this GU worm, the residual effect could not be treated with cold air. The GU had to be nourished in warm water for some time. Feng Huang stopped her techniques and slowly stood up from the cushion. The rank 5 GU floated to her hand. She tested it carefully. Her solemn expression bloomed like flowers as she let out a dazzling smile. She left the secret room and walked out of the cavern. The moment she opened the door, the huge rumbling noise of a waterfall, the sounds of birds, and the rustling of tree leaves entered her ears. Outside of the extremely quiet secret room, the world had once again sprouted to life. The verdant green mountains, birds singing, fragrance of the flowers, the bright sunlight. Everything was tranquil and beautiful. Feng Huang looked around and saw Duke Long sitting quietly on a giant rock beside a pool. The lights from the mountain delighted the birds. The shadows on the pool set the heart at ease. Master, take a look. I refined this dream pillow GU. Feng Huang ran over to Duke Long while holding the newly refined rank 5 GU and spoke with a dazzling smile. Duke Long slowly opened his eyes and took a glance at dream pillow GU. He nodded his head slightly and said in a mild voice, "Not bad, not bad." Feng Huang slightly pouted. "How can it only be not bad? Master, you don't know how many times I failed in refining this GU worm before succeeding this once. With this dream pillow GU, mortal GU masters can enter dream realms if they sleep while laying their heads on it. It will be an enormous help to my spirit affinity house and the whole of Central Continent." Ever since Feng Huang took Duke Long as her master, she had devoted herself to cultivating. Duke Long did not instruct her in cultivation, but taught her of the situation of the whole world and his experiences, expanding her vision and knowledge. With Duke Long's meticulous teaching, Feng Huang was no longer the same as before. She now had a strategic vision and considered issues in terms of the overall view. Feng Huang's dream pillow GU seemed ordinary, but because it was a mortal GU, it could be used by most GU masters. As long as this GU was mass-produced, Central Continent's GU masters could easily enter their own dream realms and extract dream path GU materials from them, gaining an early advantage in the Great Era. This GU was able to raise a whole region's strategic dominance. Its significance was beyond ordinary. Duke Long, however, showed no surprise. "It is only natural for you to have such accomplishments. Huang you are the future great dream immortal venerable." Before Duke Long finished speaking, Feng Huang interrupted with a trace of discontent. All right, you are saying this again. Are you saying that I obtained all these accomplishments only because I am the future great dream immortal venerable?" Duke Long chuckled as he looked at Feng Huang, suddenly changing the topic. "Huang do you believe in fate?" Feng Huang's brows furrowed. "Master, are you talking about fate GU?" Duke Long nodded. "Right. It is the fate GU recorded in the Legends of Renzu, and also the fate GU that Heavenly Court is about to restore completely." The Legends of Renzu stated that Renzu had spent enormous energy and effort to gather GU materials, even sacrificing his own 2 hands to finally refine wealth GU. He brought his son, blazing glory lightning brilliance, and daughter, myriad gold wondrous essence, to the Featherman's residence. But strangely, all the Feathermen had disappeared with no traces left. "What's going on?" Renzu was puzzled. "That is because I arrived here. Those Feathermen are afraid of me. All of them ran away." A black and white spider walked towards Renzu leisurely. "Who are you?" Renzu asked. The spider smiled. "Human, you have walked through the road I created in the door of life and death. You still don't know who I am? I am Fate GU." Myriad gold wondrous essence added. "Fate GU, you are not even the size of my palm. Why would those Feathermen fear you?" Fate GU chuckled. "Because they pursue freedom, but I, Fate, bind and restrict them." Blazing glory lightning brilliance grumbled. "So your intention was the same as us. You are really a failure, not capturing even one Featherman, while hindering us as well." Fate GU laughed loudly. "Who said I failed? The Feathermen are pursuing freedom, but what do they know? Their escape is only on the superficial level. I have already bound them." The road towards their freedom was all arranged by me, but they think they succeeded, not knowing anything. You are also the same. Look at yourselves. Rinzhu, blazing glory, lightning, brilliance, and myriad gold wondrous essence looked at their bodies. They discovered that white spider silk had stuck to their limbs and body for some unknown time. They also discovered that not just themselves, even the surrounding flowers, grass, trees, rocks, water, everything was bound by the spider silk. These spider silk gathered together to form into a spider web, which spread out endlessly in the sight of Rinzhu and his children. This is the web that I weaved. It is called all-encompassing web. Everything in the world is bound by this web, to be arranged and controlled by me, fate. Everyone you encountered and all the things that have happened are all controlled by me. Fate Gu said. Rinzhu and his children felt a chill in their hearts and began to struggle fiercely. Fate Gu smiled. It is useless, you cannot escape. Fate cannot be altered. Rinzhu glared at Fate Gu furiously. Oh Fate, why do you have to manipulate and toy with us? From what you said, all the hardships and misfortunes I encountered were all your doings. The loss of my children was also due to you. Fate Gu said calmly. Human, I know you want to save your eldest son, verdant great son, but he is already dead. Death is a necessary fate of humans. You simply cannot save him. Moreover, you want to rely on wealth Gu to save your daughter, boundless forest samsara. That is also impossible. As fate willed, a thread of spider silk bound Rinzhu's wealth Gu and dragged it in front of Fate Gu. Release it. That is our Gu worm. Blazing glory, lightning, brilliance shouted. Myriad gold wondrous essence's eyes reddened, sobbing. Father sacrificed his own hands to painstakingly refine this wealth Gu. How dare you take it away? Rinzhu struggled fiercely, but the spider silk continued to become tighter, firmly binding them. Fate Gu laughed loudly. Life and death is decreed by fate. Prosperity is up to heaven. Human, you are fated to be poor and menial, tormented and humiliated till you become insane, and in the end, you will also die. Although you refined wealth Gu, you don't have the fate to enjoy it. If you are fated to be poor, even if you dug out gold, it will turn to copper. If you are fated to be rich, even if you pick up paper, it will turn to silk. All these things are under my control. Rinzhu, blazing glory, lightning, brilliance, and myriad gold wondrous essence started cursing Fate Gu furiously. Fate Gu was not the least bit angry, still carefree and at leisure. Many have cursed me, but so what? Humans, no matter how you curse me, it won't change anything. Fate Gu suddenly moved the spider silk, throwing blazing glory, lightning, brilliance, and myriad gold wondrous essence far away, completely out of Rinzhu's sight. My children. Rinzhu howled. Fate Gu said darkly. Human, don't blame me. This is your fate. Not just you. Loneliness is the fate of every person. Even if they are your own children, they will not accompany you for life and will eventually leave you. Every encounter is temporary. Separation is normality. Rinzhu, however, kept on struggling. But the more he struggled, the tighter the spider's silk bound him. Rinzhu felt an increasingly enormous pressure pushing him down to the point of suffocation that he panted heavily. He gradually lost the strength to struggle. Rinzhu started crying, tears rolling down his cheeks. Why does my fate have to be so pitiful? Fate Gu was silent, but at this time, a voice emerged from the depths of Rinzhu's heart. The voice belonged to Self Gu. Human, believe in your own strength rather than blaming your fate. Rinzhu stopped crying as he suddenly realized. Right. Although I don't have strength Gu, Self Gu has taken a bite of strength Gu. I have my own strength now. Self Gu, I can only rely on you. Self Gu then erupted with a dazzling light as it attempted to break the spider silk. Some spider silk was torn, but even more came to bind Rinzhu. My own strength is not enough? Rinzhu was anxious. Right, Self Gu, you have also taken a bite of love Gu. If strength does not work, let us rely on love instead. Thereupon, Self Gu let out a gentle light as it attempted to break the spider silk, but this also failed. Fate Gu said, Oh human, why can't you understand? Love is a type of fate. I arranged it to make verdant great sun fall in love with desolate ancient moon. I also arranged it to make the rockman fall in love with desolate ancient moon. I also arranged success and failure in their lives, so they eventually ended up dead. No, no, Renzu screamed and bawled. Fate Gu listened quietly. Renzu gradually lost the strength to cry. He mumbled powerlessly. I understand now. I know why the Feathermen pursue freedom. Fate Gu smiled. Human, you also want to pursue freedom? Renzu nodded. Yes, if I have freedom, I will no longer be bound by you. Fate Gu. But look at those Feathermen. Even though they pursue freedom, aren't they still under my control? Renzu shook his head. My freedom is different from them. I will pursue absolute freedom. Fate Gu laughed loudly. A person's absolute freedom is insanity. Oh human, see for yourself. You are seeking freedom, but you are actually moving towards insanity. I already said this earlier, you will lose your mind. That is the road I arranged for you. You cannot escape my control. No, I don't believe you. I will use my own strength and wisdom to obtain freedom. I don't believe your words. I will escape your control. Renzu retorted. Fate Gu's laughter became louder. Oh human, you are truly going crazy. You are already deranged. Did you forget? Yourself Gu has only taken a bite of strength Gu and love Gu. So you only have your own strength and love, but not your own wisdom. Oh human, when you think you are intelligent, it will be the sign that you are going crazy. Ha 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 ha. It was Renzu's turn to laugh. I don't believe you. Oh Fate Gu, I don't believe you. I don't believe that this world has fate. Fate Gu was silent for a moment before saying, even if you don't believe it, I will still exist. Renzu rebuked. No, that is not true. When I stop believing in you, you will stop existing. I refuse to believe in fate. Fate does not exist. Ha ha. Fate Gu shook its head, sighing. Truly pitiful. O human, you have already fallen into insanity. Renzu scratched his hair and skin, his tears and mucus mixed together. He struggled. He knelt on the ground as he rolled around. It was like how fate declared. He had become insane. Time flew by rapidly as a scene of the past suddenly appeared in Duke Long's mind 1,000,000 years ago. Do you believe in fate? Duke Long was standing and looking at his disciple warmly. His disciple was only a youngster with a glossy forehead, handsome appearance, and bright eyes. He had long black hair that reached his waist. There was a lifelike red lotus birthmark on his forehead. Duke Long continued. Red Lotus, you are the future immortal venerable. You will definitely lead us humans towards the greatest prosperity and glory. You will certainly succeed. Creating your own goo worms and techniques, you will become the pride of your parents, become invincible in the world, and your name shall be marked in history. You will join heavenly court, become the leader of humanity, and bring blessings to all beings. Your glory will shine throughout time and space. Young Red Lotus blinked his eyes before smiling, exposing his dazzling teeth. There does not seem to be anything bad with this. I believe in fate. Duke Long returned to reality after the slight trance. He looked at Feng Huang and said solemnly, Huang Heir, you need to understand that you are the future great dream immortal venerable who will surpass all the past venerables. You will create dream path and be invincible in the whole world. Your glory will shine and spread for ages, becoming the eternal symbol and support of humanity. Don't fear, don't hesitate. Take each success to press forward indomitably until you reach the supreme peak of this world. Feng Huang's eyes got brighter and brighter as she listened. She smiled with unparalleled beauty. Duke Long also smiled. Feng Huang said, if all this is predestined by fate, then I do not believe in fate. What? Duke Long's smile froze on his face. Chapter 1620, Southern Alliance. Heavenly Court. The large formation let out buzzing noises as glaring light pierced deep into Spectral Soul's body like sharp needles. Despite him curling up and defending with all his strength, he was still hard-pressed to resist the formation's power. Fairy Ziwei was concentrating fully on controlling the large formation while also absorbing all kinds of information extracted from Spectral Soul. Only when the formation let out breaking noises did Fairy Ziwei stop while feeling unsatisfied. She gave a deep glance at Spectral Soul. Even if they were enemies, Fairy Ziwei could not help but admire Spectral Soul's tenacity. He was clearly in a desperate situation with no trace of hope, but he was still resisting to the end. He was indeed worthy of being an invincible Gu venerable. Fairy Ziwei left without saying anything. Returning to her hall, she immediately began to concentrate on deducing. The use of star constellation chessboard pushed her deduction ability to the peak of the world. Countless thoughts emerged and faded in her mind like the flickering of countless stars. Her thoughts constantly collided with each other, even flying out of the body, turning into countless purple light specks that covered Fairy Ziwei's body before spreading to fill the whole vast hall. That a long while later, the purple thoughts gradually drew in, dissipated, and finally calmed. Fairy Ziwei took a deep breath, stopping her methods as she slowly opened her eyes. The layer of thin sweat had formed on her forehead. Her brows were furrowed into a tight knot, and she looked mentally exhausted. Fang Yuan, where in the world are you going to undergo tribulation? Fairy Ziwei muttered. She had been working hard, repeatedly extracting various internal details of Shadow Sect from Spectral Soul. She was especially interested in Shadow Sect's arrangements left in the 5 regions, because Fang Yuan had used Shadow Sect's arrangement to capture the pursuing team of Southern Border Righteous Path in one go. If Fang Yuan was to undergo tribulation, he was very likely to once again rely on these arrangements. It would make no sense for him to not borrow this help. Fairy Ziwei had been closely paying attention to Fang Yuan's cultivation progress. After the battle in Langya Blessed Land, she clearly deduced Fang Yuan was not far from rank 8. Rank 7 and rank 8 were 2 completely different levels. In the absence of rank 9, rank 8s were the peak of the world. Once Fang Yuan advances to rank 8, he would truly become difficult to suppress and would become an enormous obstacle for Heavenly Court. Fang Yuan's final grand tribulation is the crucial point. If we can kill him here, it would be greatly beneficial to Heavenly Court and people all over the world. Fairy Ziwei was not going to let go of any chance to kill Fang Yuan, but she found this matter was extremely troubling because she could not tell the specific time and location of Fang Yuan's tribulation for sure. Fang Yuan possessed Emperor Yama, which had strong defensive properties, not giving her any chance to make deductions against him. Fang Yuan also had plentiful time path methods to alter the rate of time in the immortal aperture, so it could not be estimated when he was going to undergo the final grand tribulation. Fang Yuan also had fixed immortal travel and could undergo his tribulation anywhere in the world. How could Fairy Ziwei make arrangements like this? The most she could do was rule out Black Heaven and White Heaven, because a blessed land would absorb a slightly higher amount of Earth Qi when undergoing tribulation, so it was usually done in the 5 regions. Naturally, the possibility of undergoing tribulation in Black or White Heaven was small, but not zero. There were several areas which were special and had abundant Earth Qi. But what about the 5 regions? The River of Time was only a secluded domain of heaven and earth, so Fairy Ziwei could arrange immortal Gu houses in it and guard it heavily. But when it came to the huge area of the 5 regions, even thousands of immortal Gu houses would not be enough. Let alone when Heavenly Court did not have enough manpower to assign to every area of 5 regions to interfere with Fang Yuan's tribulation. Fairy Ziwei heaved a sigh. She did not have any good solutions. The plan now was to use all her strength to extract valuable clues from Spectral Soul and use them to deduce the possible locations where Fang Yuan could undergo tribulation. Meanwhile, she would actively contact the Righteous Path forces of 5 regions and release the news of Fang Yuan undergoing tribulation. Heavenly Court did not have control over the other 4 regions and was only able to borrow their strength. The news that Fang Yuan was about to undergo tribulation quickly spread throughout the 5 regions. Not only the Righteous Path clans and sects, even demonic and lone immortals heard about it. Currently, Fang Yuan was already renowned throughout the 5 regions. Although he only had rank 7 cultivation, his battle accomplishments were so amazing that he was already recognized as the #1 person below rank 8. The Gu immortal world acknowledged that even Feng Jiu Gu was inferior to him. He was the strongest new star of the demonic path in the last 100 years. His growth was so shockingly fast that when the Gu immortal world reacted, he had already become a demonic path overlord. So the news of Fang Yuan undergoing tribulation quickly created a heated discussion in the Gu immortal world of the 5 regions. If this demon passes the final grand tribulation, he will become a rank 8 Gu immortal. How can we ignore this? Demons are rising while the righteous path is weakening. What else can we do? This person is extraordinary. He possesses spring-autumn cicada, is someone who has been reborn, and also has obtained the inheritances of multiple venerables. A grand tribulation cannot stop him. I have a different opinion. As the saying goes, one who commits many injustices is doomed to failure. This demon is too arrogant. He wants to undergo tribulation, but he has to first see if heavenly court or the entire world's righteous path are allowing it or not. Some were optimistic about Fang Yuan, while some were pessimistic. But one point was clear: the absolute majority of the Gu immortals did not want to see Fang Yuan succeed in his tribulation. This demon brought chaos to the world when he was just rank 6, and even more disaster when he is rank 7. Would he topple the world if he advances to rank 8? I don't care if Fang Yuan undergoes tribulation in other places. But if he undergoes tribulation in Southern Border, my Tai clan will not allow it. While the Gu immortal world was in fervent discussions, Southern Border's righteous path forces were also actively holding meetings or frequently contacting each other to discuss about how to deal with Fang Yuan. Despite there still being hostages in Fang Yuan's hands, if they were able to take this chance to eradicate this disaster, Southern Border's righteous path forces would be more than happy. The reason was simple: benefits. Ignoring Fang Yuan and letting him grow stronger meant he would increasingly become a bigger threat and shroud over Southern Border's righteous path like a dark cloud. There might even be a day where one of them might face a calamity under his hands. More importantly, Fang Yuan had an extremely huge amount of immortal Gu recipes, inheritances, and all kinds of cultivation resources. He was simply a moving treasure trove. They might be able to obtain enormous benefits by killing him. Even if his immortal aperture was destroyed, as long as a fragment of his soul remains, these righteous path forces could soul search and might obtain some venerable's incomplete inheritance. Just this alone was enough for these righteous path forces to go after him like a flock of cranes. Wu Yong said in a heavy voice. The headquarters of Shadow Sect are in Southern Border. There are bound to be many arrangements put in place here. Previously, Fang Yuan used one of the arrangements to capture many immortals. There is a high probability of Fang Yuan undergoing tribulation in Southern Border. Prior to saying this, Wu Yong had secretly received information from Fairy Ziwei and knew of several arrangements Shadow Sect had put in Southern Border. Wu Yong was fully aware Fairy Ziwei was making use of him to deal with Fang Yuan. But Wu Yong was willing to be used, because Fang Yuan had heavily toyed with him by disguising as Wu Yihai. Fang Yuan being alive was the greatest disgrace to the whole of Wu clan and him. Wu Yong, Lord Wu Yong's analysis is sound. Xiao Clan Gu Immortal immediately added. Fang Yuan captured Gu Immortals from every clan. He is also an inheritor of Shadow Sect, the current sect leader. He definitely has powerful soul path methods. After soul searching the captives, he will be clear of the situation of our Southern Border righteous path. Moreover, our Southern Border has been through all kinds of large changes in these recent years, be they lone or demonic immortals. They have all suffered severe losses, especially our righteous path. If that demon undergoes tribulation here, he will face the least obstruction. Even if Fang Yuan undergoes tribulation in Southern Border, how can we keep a lookout? Southern Border is so large, he could very well undergo tribulation in some corner. How would we know? A Gu Immortal asked. We can know it by investigating. Xia Clan Gu Immortal replied. Once he places his immortal aperture and connects to the world, he has to maintain this state till he finishes the tribulation. He will no longer be hidden in this period of time, and we will be able to trace him. Even without others' help, our Xia Clan's wisdom path Gu Immortals will be able to deduce his specific location with the help of our formation. Of course, if there are many wisdom path Gu Immortals helping us, we will have even more certainty in deducing Fang Yuan's location, and also much more quickly. Another Xia Clan Gu Immortal continued. The true difficulty is not in deducing his location, but how we can reach there in time. There is also a premise here that we must have gathered a considerable number of Gu Immortals to deal with Fang Yuan. Southern Border's Gu Immortals fell into silence. Since ancient times, the Southern Border righteous path forces were numerous and divided, no one submitting to others. And to eliminate Fang Yuan, These southern border forces had to work with full cooperation and unity. This could be considered an unprecedented event. Fang Yuan was currently able to fight rank 8, but he was one person in the end. Any single super clan of the righteous path could make sure Fang Yuan had more trouble than he could handle during the tribulation, causing him to fail his tribulation and even die, because these righteous path forces either possessed rank 8 Gu immortal or had immortal Gu houses that could fight rank 8. Most of them had managed their territories and resources for thousands of years or even tens of thousands of years, so they had incomparably robust foundation. In contrast, Fang Yuan had developed for a considerably shorter time. But was it possible for one super clan to use all their strength against Fang Yuan? Impossible. This was a jungle. Every righteous path clan was a fierce beast who ruled over a territory. If this fierce beast left its territory to attack another fierce beast, even if the latter was not fully developed, it would still have claws and fangs. This risk was too large. Even if it killed the other, the fierce beast could very likely be injured, and if its injuries were too severe, other fierce beasts would be attracted to invade. Of course, the invasion would be under the cover of justice. They would find all sorts of excuses. With so many conflicts between southern border righteous path forces over the years, would they be worried about not finding an excuse? Even if they really had no excuse, they could offer to help. For instance, take the initiative to help for the prosperity of southern border. Look at how passionate I am to help you. Do you dare to refuse? Do you have the strength to refuse? So, the true difficulty in dealing with Fang Yuan did not lie in Fang Yuan himself. Was Fang Yuan strong? Indeed, being able to fight rank 8 with rank 7 cultivation was extremely rare even in history. But what if he was compared to a super force? Fang Yuan was not strong. He could not compare to a group strength. After continuous conflicts, Fang Yuan would start bleeding. Some southern border Gu immortals could only smile bitterly because they knew. The current situation was ironic. The ones binding them were themselves. They were wary of each other and kept each other in check. They divided their forces to guard their large territories to defend against each other. The silence lasted a long while, until a Tai clan Gu immortal suddenly spoke. Actually, there is a way to resolve a portion of this issue. Everyone knows of the immortal Gu house beacon tower of my Tai clan. Southern border Gu immortals maintained their silence, but it did not last long when another voice spoke. I agree with Tai clan in building beacon towers. Everyone was shocked, because this person was none other than Wu clan's first supreme elder Wu Yong. Even that rank 6 Tai clan Gu immortal who had spoken just now was surprised. Wu Yong actually supported Tai clan in building beacon tower? While everyone was still in shock, Wu Yong spoke again. His voice was low and deep, his every word landing in the immortals' minds like a giant rock that he said, "It is time to make a change. Have you still not realized? The wave of the great era is already upon us. The 5 regions' regional walls have also started to thin. If we don't start changing now, we will be submerged by this wave of the new era." The immortals fell into silence. Another person stood up. He was Ba clan's first supreme elder who had always wanted to seize the #1 position from Wu clan. He rarely spoke, and thus startled everyone. My Ba clan supports Wu Yong. We need to look ahead. Central continent has heavenly court. Northern plains has longevity heaven. What does our southern border have? He paused for a moment before making a logical point. We have many forces, but every force is independent. We will be taken down by the other regions eventually. So I support Wu Yong and also agree to Tai clan building beacon towers. Not long after him, Qi clan's first supreme elder Qi Chu Yu expressed his support. Then, Luo clan, Ho clan, Chai clan, and so on also expressed their strong intent to unite. Southern Border's immortals suddenly realized that this event was of an extreme importance and would be recorded in the history of Southern Border. Never had such a situation appeared where Southern Border's righteous path forces joined hands. This was not just a superficial proclamation, but a true close cooperation. The atmosphere was heated like never before. Waves rose in Southern Border Gu immortals' minds as they felt an excitement at participating in a historical moment. Let Fang Yuan be the first sacrificial offering to our Southern Alliance. Then, the other 4 regions. Wu Yong did not conceal his ambitions.